Yet a grand jury is meeting this morning to decide whether homicide charges should be brought against her mother, CAYLEE Anthony. News 13's Evrod Kasmi is at the Orange County Courthouse this morning with the latest. Evrod?
Well, Lisa, George Anthony just went inside of the courthouse to testify against his daughter, a testimony that could bring forth charges of homicide against her. He described it as having to do the unimaginable and the inconceivable. You're looking at video now of George Anthony walking up the steps of the courthouse, accompanied by his attorney, Mark Nejame. This is actually the first time in a long time that we've actually seen George Anthony get somewhat emotional when talking about the details of this case. Just before going inside, we did get a chance to talk with George Anthony, and here's what he had to say.
My focus is always on my granddaughter. It always will be. I love my daughter. I love my wife. I love my son. I want everyone to have prayer for all of us today, especially for my granddaughter.
And again, George Anthony giving a testimony against his daughter, a testimony that possibly could bring forth homicide charges against her. Coming back out here, basically there are about 15 to 21 people that will hear this testimony and all other evidence brought forth by investigators in this case to determine whether or not those charges are warranted. Lisa?
Yeah, and Evrod, when will we learn if there is an indictment?
I would like to make it clear that we are not here to rejoice in today's grand jury indictment. We are, however, pleased that the ladies and gentlemen serving on that jury were able to hear the evidence presented to them by State Attorney Lamar and arrive at an informed conclusion based strictly on the evidence that was presented to them.
Mark, you see, has a call. Unmarked between Speedway and Oceanfront. He just said no white.
October 14, 2008, approximately 4:05 p.m. Corporal Eric Edwards, Orange County Sheriff's Office homicide, in the vehicle with
Detective Dorothy Rivera,
Special Agent Jeffrey Scott Boland. And we are approaching a traffic stop where CAYLEE Anthony is in custody right now by our felony unit. And we will be having her in the car momentarily. That was downright dangerous almost.
Traffic 10736 located. 10736 located Boulevard in front of the rec center. Code 3 is 24881 or RD 1330.
Mr. Crazy Driver. Huh? Listen, you haven't met me before. You've seen me.
Yeah.
You haven't met me. I did speak with your mother,
Okay.
your father, and your brother. This situation here, I'm trying to find the right words for it. I'll tell you what got me a little bit out of mindset is what just happened on the road back there, so you'll have to give me a second to get that bit of adrenaline out of my system. Do you have any adrenaline in your system from that?
A little bit. Especially when we realized, you know, who was behind us, that it wasn't me, so.
What's that fellow's name that you were in the car there with?
Robert.
What did he say when you realized it was the police?
I think his exact words were, "Tosh, it was the cops, okay."
And when was that?
It was
what
right
part
as,
of our journey?
right as he flashed the lights. We couldn't tell before that.
And where was that? Here? He legitimately thought that it was the
Yes,
press.
we all legitimately thought it was the press. So.
To include Mr. Baez.
Yes.
So Mr. Baez's intentions was to, if it was the press, was to keep the press from being. I'm pretty sure the state statute wouldn't allow him running press vans off the road either. But it just makes it worse when it's unmarked police cars.
Oh, I completely agree with you.
This is where I'd like to be with you.
Okay.
I myself have got a chance to, unfortunately, listen to, and I say unfortunately because I almost feel guilty that I catch myself watching the TV as much as I do, like the rest of everyone.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
But in that few little excerpts, I've never really listened to the interviews that Yuri and John Allen have done and the opportunities they had to talk to me before. But I do know from listening to the little bit that I have, that I'd like to talk to you in a different approach. And also, I'd like to talk to you about, if in your mind's eye for me, you would take yourself to the end of that hallway at Universal Studios. Because today, in this charging incident today, if you will, I think as far as everything goes, we're at the end of that hallway.
Okay.
That being said, I would ask you for your help instead of all this other stuff that's been going on. maybe step away from the glitter and the glamour and the pressure that's put on you and your family and the law enforcement and Mr. Byers, and help us by helping yourself.
Okay.
Do you have any interest in helping us?
I've had interest in helping law enforcement from the beginning. Unfortunately, my hands were literally tied, and I was put in a position where someone's trying to trick a confession
Well, I don't
out
want
of
to.
me, and that's not going to happen.
Well, don't go there. I don't want to. You know that you know as far as how we have to do things, and I would want to do things above board and straightforward. I would want to read your rights. I want to Mirandize you. Mr. Baez, I'm sure, has gone through that thoroughly with you, coached you on what to say, which is fine. That's his right. That's your right. But I, as a law enforcement officer, still am afforded the right to approach you as a suspect. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That's one thing you'll never get with me is a mind game.
I appreciate that.
If I read you your rights, and we take the time to do that, and have you've met, right? You two met?
Casey, I'm Scott.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Take all that aggravation from prior contacts out of your mind. It's a different game. I'm a homicide corporal. FBI. Not John Allen, not Yuri, not the aggravation that the family, that they see those two as. And I'm not minimizing their professionalism or anything that they've done. Okay? I just want to approach it in a different manner. And today, with what was done today at the grand jury, regardless of accusations from everybody around, there's been people that have reviewed what it is so far. Casey, we're at the end of the hallway.
To an extent, yes. I understand that.
We need you to determine what our next course of action is going to be.
Okay.
Really. Not saying you're in control of the situation. You're in control of your situation. That being said, I'd like to read your rights and talk to you. Is that something you're interested in?
I would like to do that on the basis of my attorney. If
You'd want him there?
Yes.
So if we went up to our office and your attorney was there, you would provide us additional information.
I can honestly say that...
Don't go into any information now, because I haven't...
I can honestly say that whatever questions you ask, I will consider before I answer anything. I don't want to be obligated to answer at that moment. I feel that I do have the right, with invoking my right to counsel, that I should be able to speak with my attorney before I provide any sort of answer. I know I have that right as a citizen, suspect or not.
And you do.
It's my constitutional right, which I'm glad that...
Do you feel that I've circumvented that at all?
No, not at all.
Because I haven't.
I know you haven't, exactly. I was just going to say this is the first time that I've still been allowed to have that right throughout this.
It's a different... Now, in your opinion, if that were to occur, do you think Mr. Baez would entertain that coming down today?
Definitely. We have said
today?
From the very beginning, if law enforcement would like to speak with myself, he would like to be present. I would like to have my attorney present, but we've never shied away from that, not once.
If I were to tell you that I told Mr. Baez myself in the office that day, that was perfectly all right with me. He turned me down, wouldn't surprise you.
It would, to an extent, I think, considering who else was with you that day. I remember a day that...
who? I'm curious because I wasn't
John
there.
Allen, Nick Savage, and I think whoever else came with you that day that was in the office. I left when you guys came in and spoke to my mom. So there's...
Excuse me.
There's a certain level of things. I mean, I've only heard certain things from certain people, because you can understand we haven't had direct contact, and we haven't either. I have an open mind when it comes to things. I try to keep an open mind when it comes to things, but if I'm innocent, that's as far as that goes. And as far as anything else on top of that, I'll take this as far as I need to prove my innocence, which I guess is my point in all of